Okay, so we're talking today about the hows and whys of exercise, and hopefully this will stay up. It keeps turning off for some reason. Everybody has a handout, correct? Okay. This will clearly be very open forum. Y'all feel free to ask questions. Try to, it'll be all good. Okay. So, number one, is exercise important? I mean, do you really need to do it? Yes. Is there a method that should be considered when you're, thinking through the whole concept or idea of exercising, or should you just kind of go in it as whatever? How often should you do it? What are some myths? We'll talk about that, and then I'll actually give you some tips and ideas of how you can begin to incorporate exercise into your routine, or if you're currently exercising, how you might be able to mix it up and make it a little bit more meaningful or purposeful for you. So, thinking about, there's stuff at the bottom of this too. Let me grab this. I think I print out the handouts on here. Okay, so if you think about exercise, and
Is there more than one?
No, that's good. I've printed out the presentation in here too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if you think about exercise and, the importance of it, there's clearly been research and whatnot done to look at, how can improvements be made with incorporating exercise into your world, okay? So they looked at several different ailments, the type of treatment that was done in terms of exercise, and what the results were. So as you can see here, with arthritis, 1 to 3 hours per week, 1 hour 3 times a week, you will have a reduction of 45% or 47% in your pain, chronic arthritis pain, which is kind of contrary to what one might believe if you actually suffer from arthritis. If you're hurting, the last thing you're thinking about is, let me go exercise and move my body around in a way that might make it hurt more, right? But it's just the opposite. The stronger your body becomes, the less pain you will actually feel, okay? Dementia and Alzheimer's, this is huge. So I want you to think about this not only with yourself, but with the folks that you work with, okay? Because this is tremendous. Dementia and Alzheimer's, 30 minutes, 4 times a week, a 50% decrease in symptoms. I mean, that's huge, okay? Diabetes, 1 hour, 3 times a week, a 58% decrease in the development. So more along the preventative side of that. Depression, osteoporosis, anti-anxiety. 1 hour a week, or 1 hour, 3 to 4 times a week, has shown significant reductions in pain, which oftentimes is associated with depression. People who are depressed, or if you have pain, oftentimes depression is one of the additional symptoms or ailments that they might experience. A reduction in bone fractures, I mean, that's huge. We don't want to break our bones. And then with anxiety, just moving can reduce the symptoms of anxiety. All right. Does anybody know anybody with any of these issues? I mean, I think we all do. Okay. Top 10 causes of death in 2010. Heart disease, cancer, chronic lower respiratory disease, stroke, unintentional injuries, I'm going to flip back to this in a second, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, fluid pneumonia, nephritis, and intentional self-harm. Most all of these are causes of death that have a lifestyle-related aspect to them, okay? So, not that we're all, going around, I mean, we've lived busy lives. And so I don't think that we always consider the fact that some of the choices that we make, in the moment it might seem okay because we are stressed for time or just busy or in the mood for whatever it is that you're getting ready to have, eat, or, not exercise or whatever. I don't think that most people think long term. Or we tend to think, that's not going to happen to me. I mean, I think we all believe that we're, going to live lives forever and ever and ever, and nothing ever happened to us. But these are very real. This can happen to any one of us sitting here. The choices that we make that are lifestyle related can have a tremendous impact on the way that we live our lives and the quality of those lives. Okay, and I think that's pretty big too. You may have a stroke and live, and it may not be a real good way of living after you have that stroke. So I'm going to try to do what I can to avoid having some of these occur. Control what you can, deal with what you can, and move on. That's kind of my motto. So if you look, most all of these have a common theme to what the prevention or the preventative measure might be. So avoiding smoking, regular exercise, healthy nutrition or healthy food choices. Okay, and it doesn't have to be wipe the slate clean, start over, and do only those things that you consider to be good. Little bitty baby steps make a tremendous and have a tremendous impact on these long-term, potentially death-causing issues. Okay? Making modifications to the way that we live our lives is important. So looking a little further at the next set of 5, again, regular exercise, healthy food choices. The mental stimulation, that occurs not through exercise necessarily, although that does, but just conversation. Okay, having conversation with someone also can help, I guess, reduce the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease and sometimes the progression, although it depends on the type of dementia or Alzheimer's. The part of that is improving the blood flow. Okay, if you're making the heart stronger and healthier, the blood flow is improving through the body. Okay, which means that you're able to oxygenate the brain better. Okay, because the blood is what carries oxygen through the body. Diabetes, again, we know that. I don't ever get a flu shot, but probably you should vaccinate. I don't like needles. I'm praying that everybody else will get their flu shots, so I don't have to.
Hey, that's my theory.
Thank you.
It's been for a long time.
Now, I'm not saying I haven't had the flu shot before. I have. And I didn't have any ill side effects or whatnot, but I don't like needles, period. I just don't.
I just don't like it.
Oh, I just can't do it.
I think that's
There's a handout right here, ladies, if you want to grab that. Okay, nephritis, that's kidneys, and then intentional self-harm. But okay, so if we looked a moment ago, we saw that depression, okay, can, well, earlier on the other slides, that research has shown that the rate of depression can decrease by like 47%. Hold on, now I'll tell you the exact. I was right, 47%. So if that's the case, if you're exercising and you can improve the symptoms and just the feeling of feeling good, then hopefully that would reduce the intentional self-harm that would occur, as well. Okay. We're going to talk very specifically about some exercises here in a minute. I might get y'all up and even do some. Get the tables out of the way and just go to town. So how should you exercise? I mean, clearly here it tells you the 3 separate types of exercise: cardio, strength, and flexibility. Is one of these any more important than the other? No? Okay. So, do you need to do all of them, or is it just important that you do some kind of exercise?
Do all.
It is important to incorporate them all. Okay? And we're going to look at that. So what is cardiovascular exercise, and why is it important?
What keeps your heart good?
Exactly. It makes the heart strong. It helps with the circulation of the blood. Helps provide oxygen throughout the body. Okay? Cardiovascular exercise is vital if you want your heart to work optimally, okay? And we're going to talk specifically about how much here in just a moment. So strength training. When you do strength training, does this necessarily mean that you've got to go to the gym and just, lift the heaviest weights possible and spend a tremendous amount of time doing it? No. There are plenty of strength training activities and movements that you can do that don't even require picking up a weight, okay? And we'll look at some of those. So the purpose of strength training is to use resistance to build muscle and joint strength. And what it does is it increases the connective tissue and bone density, okay? The bone density part, when you improve your bone density, you reduce your risk for breaks and fractures, okay? That's how we prevent osteoporosis. As we age, the rate of bone loss increases. When you begin exercising with weight-bearing exercise, you slow the progression of bone loss, okay? Flexibility. Oh my gosh. Do y'all ever get out of bed and you're just like stiff? Like your legs feel like they're just not going to work as well? Okay. Stretching, whether it's through doing yoga or literally just static stretches, is important, okay? It is important for a lot of reasons. Balance, coordination. If you've got, imagine your leg is hurting, okay, or your knee. Okay, we'll say your right knee is hurting. And then you start walking funny. Okay, your right knee might be hurting because you're not stretching out your body, and so now you've got, I'm getting way in this, but like your IT band might be pulling and causing a little pain in your knee. So now you start walking a little differently to compensate for that pain. Well, then you end up with a problem over on the other side. Okay, so now you're getting way off balance. You've got a lot of imbalances occurring in your body where you could have prevented all that by simply, after moving, or not, even if you're not even exercising, just stretching out, to get your body more flexible. Okay, when you do that and you do it on both sides of your body, then you're less likely to have issues come up that make you move your body differently that then leads to additional problems. Does that make sense? We will alter our gait or alter our movements. Like I was working with a lady yesterday training her. She has, and we all have problems. She has had a frozen shoulder, she's had a rotator cuff on this side, she's had a knee replacement, a hip replacement, all this stuff. Well, so she's doing a chest press. Okay, it's very lightweight. We were doing some interval training, so cardio, and then we were moving into some strength training back and forth. She was doing this, it was a circuit piece of equipment, which I like free weights, but anyway, she was on this. She's pushing it, and this shoulder kept driving up. And I was like, oh my God, something's just not right. She's going to end up with another problem. She was compensating for this shoulder over here, because this is the frozen shoulder, which wasn't having a problem. She was just terrified that if she didn't try to maneuver her body in some different way, that she was going to somehow have a problem over here. So we adjusted her. Everything was beautiful. And then getting through the stretching, and after you're working out, so those muscles don't just tighten back up and get stiff and increase the risk for tearing, pulling, that kind of thing, okay? You want to stretch the muscles back out when you're done working out so that you can have that blood flowing and reduce your back pain. And of course, it's going to improve posture too. Do you think strength training improves posture?
Yes.
Absolutely. If you're stronger, you're less likely to be, slumping around. You want a strong posture. So what are the recommendations? Now this is for cardiovascular, and then strength training is at the bottom. 150 minutes of moderate physical activity a week. Okay? So if you're a person who, let me just ask you this way. Are you more likely to be able to commit to 150 minutes per week than, than saying, I'm going to go exercise 5 days a week for 30 minutes. Okay, 5 times 30 is 150, okay? But this doesn't mean you have to break it down into 5 days. If you've got 3 days a week that you can commit to having some kind of movement, the goal is to aim for 50 minutes, okay, of moderate activity. So it doesn't mean walk around like this for about an hour. I mean, you've got to move your body, okay? If moderate activity means you're breathing, okay, you feel the elevation in your heart rate, but you're not gasping for air. Okay, you could carry on a conversation with a girl or a guy that you're walking with, okay? But you need to be motoring around. I mean, you need to be having some sweat, beat up. That's moderate. Now, vigorous is where you're breathless. Okay, you're not carrying on a conversation. You can mutter about 4, 5, 6 words, pause while you're still moving. I mean, you can't get a lot of conversation happening with that, and you really don't want to. Okay, you're at that point vigorous. You're focusing on the movement that you're doing. Okay, because you might trip and fall if you're outside running, or if you're on a spin bike, or whatever it is. I mean, you can accomplish this just standing in place, power in your feet. Okay, so that's cardiovascular. Don't get caught up with this. The 150. If you don't do any movement at all right now, that's where you want to aim to in terms of time per week. That's the goal. Okay. The first 1, 2, 3 weeks out, you may not hit 150 minutes. You've initially got to establish a pattern of incorporating movement into your life. Okay, does anybody in here not exercise at all regularly? All of you. Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you want to exercise regularly? Yes? Okay. So here's what I suggest. You get a calendar, and if I had thought through this even more, I would have done this. And I can email one to you, Cassie, if you want. If you take a calendar, okay, and it's just blank, nothing on it. You've just got boxes for every day of the week. You can even use the ones you do the menus on.
Yes.
Okay? So you take that calendar, all right? Now here's the kicker, I guess. You've got to decide, early in the week, okay, so I know so far this week, because nothing's been thrown at me yet, that I've got this, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday that I do for sure have time that I can do something physical, okay? Mark those days and know that you are going to do something on those days. Now, just starting out, that's all you want to do is get it down on paper and actually do it. Okay, then later is when we begin to think about, okay, how can we put more purpose to the movement that we're doing? Okay, but first we've got to establish the fact that we want to achieve 150 minutes a week of activity. You've got to put a plan in place. If you don't put it on paper, you're probably not going to do it. It's an appointment with yourself, okay? So I put mine in my phone. Every Monday and Thursday, you will not find me any other place than sitting on a spin bike from 4 to 4:45. And then from 4:45 to 5:15, I'm doing a little, it's a core little strength thing, which is not little. I mean, it's hard. But anyway. And then, I have days that I do a long run. I've got a day that I do strength training on my own. But that comes later. Initially, you just want to establish the fact that you are willing to put yourself on paper and then into a pair of tennis shoes that are comfortable, that you can do something for a period of time. Then you're going to come back to your paper and you're going to actually give yourself the check mark, superstar, whatever, these little sticky things that put on there. You got your little star for the day. Do what you need to do to indicate that you have accomplished that task, okay? As you begin to become more consistent with that, it'll just become part of what you do, okay? That's the first step. If you do nothing at all right now, you've got to initially establish the fact that you're going to set some time aside to do it. Now, if you're, again, I said, you don't have 150 minutes, if you're doing nothing at all right now is a little on the lofty side. okay? That would be 50 minutes 3 times a week if you committed to 3 days. Okay, that's fine if you want to do that. But if you've got 50 minutes one day and you do 32 other days, give yourself a check mark and you did a great job. Because as you become more acclimated to incorporating that into just the way you live, you will increase the time that you're doing it, okay? So right now it's just a matter of setting the time aside for yourself and then just doing it. Do you think you all can do that? Okay, so now what about that do you think is hard?
Not hard.
Okay, so she says she's lazy. So now how are you, well, I mean, everybody is, I'm not pointing at you. I'm just, because this is, I hear it every single day. You are no different than any other human on this earth when you're trying to fit exercise in. It's hard to do if you don't currently do it. Because we do have, I mean, for me it's easy because I've just always done it. So it's just, there's no question. I'm working out. All this stuff will have to wait. Because that's just the way I live my life. I'm not going to ever, unless it's my child and something's, whatever, I'm not going to put anything in front of it. It is that important to me. I'm not some crazy fanatic. If I've only got 15 minutes, but I'm going to do something for 15 minutes. Okay? So that, I want you to understand that too. If you have 15 or 20 minutes, use that to move your body. Okay? That's the key. Because once you begin moving, you're going to feel different and you're going to actually want to do it. I feel like a lump of just if I don't exercise. And again, I don't do crazy stuff all the time. I mean, I'm known to get nuts when I work out, but I mean, it doesn't have to be that way, So the point is, you just want to decide. Number one, yeah, I want to do this. I want to exercise. Then number two, in my crazy life, how am I going to make it just fit? And so that's where you've got to take that calendar, or maybe it's your calendar that you actually live by, okay? That's how I do mine. But then I have a separate one that I document all my workouts. So you've got to schedule the time for yourself so that nothing can come in the way of that, okay? So even if you start with just one day, do something, okay? Strength training, 2 or more days a week. All right, so now you're thinking, holy crap, man, okay, so I've got to do, that's outside of this 150 minutes. Good Lord, I don't want to live in a gym. Okay, you don't have to. So don't freak out when I say this, okay? I'm just going to show you something. So initially, it's movement. Forget the strength training off the front end, okay? That's where people mess up. They do more strength training than they do cardio, and they don't burn any additional calories to a great extent. And so then they're like, I'm just not really seeing any change, and my body's not changing, so I'm just going to quit. I'm not getting any benefit from it. Well, you have to move your body to burn calories before the body will change, okay? Once you get a certain amount, if you're trying to lose weight, once you've done this for a period of time and your weight begins to come down, then you become more serious about this, okay? But even then, you can do strength training in 2 days a week. It could be 5 minutes 2 days a week, okay? If you compound your movements, squat with a curl, so you're curling and squatting, you're getting upper body and lower body right there together. If you do, and we'll look at some different exercises here in just a minute, whole body exercises where you're literally incorporating multiple movements in one, you're going to accomplish a lot of this in a shorter time frame. Okay? All right. So this is kind of what I just said. You just want to think of how you can get the most out of the time that you're exercising. Now, when I said don't freak out, let me back up for a minute because I got away from myself. The 90 minutes for the vigorous is because your body's you're working much, 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 much harder, and you can't maintain that level of intensity for as long, right? So let's say you decided, and I'm not talking about in the first even 2 or 3 months, I'm talking down the road, okay? You've got this system where now you're incorporating activity into your day. you can then begin to throw little bits of intensity into that so that you're driving your heart rate a little higher and you're getting more out of that workout in a shorter period of time. And you can do that with some strength training, throwing it in there. So some of the full body movements, like I was talking about the lady that we were doing treadmill and then doing some strength training, that's how you can do that. You push them together and it becomes one thing, okay? Because if you're on if your goal is to keep your heart rate elevated, okay, so we're moving at a moderate intensity, okay, we're breathing pretty hard, carry on a conversation, but not like, you know, giving a dissertation, you know, kind of long periods of, you want to have exchange. You want to say your words and then let them say theirs so you can kind of rest your breathing pattern for a minute. As you begin to do your bout of cardiovascular and then come off, no rest, begin to do whatever it is that you're doing for strength training, come right back in, you're never letting the heart rate drop. With strength training, I see people do their thing on whatever they're doing and then they sit there forever. And then they do another set. And I'm like, okay, there is rest-based training, which is fine, but not what you're doing. I mean, rest-based training is where you're like moving heavy weights, which none of us really want to do. And then you're resting for as long as you need to be able to put as much effort into that movement again. If you're doing interval training where you're mixing moderate with some strength movements, you're never letting that heart rate come down. So you've just meshed them into one, and now you're not ever going over you're not adding time or days to your workout. Does that make sense? You just mush them together. An example I have for you in here shows you how to do that. Okay, we'll get that in a minute. Okay, but here's the key. Okay, when you exercise, is it comfortable? Okay, so if it doesn't challenge you, it will not change you. If you're like a lot of the people that I see coming into the center and they're exercising and they leave looking just as fresh and lovely as they did when they walked in, you have just wasted your time. You need to look as if you put yourself through a little something and need a shower. Okay, so that you make it worthwhile. I mean, good grief, you are pressed for time. You don't want to be incorporating something else in there that's not going to be beneficial, right? So take what moment you have and make it work for you. If it, again, does not challenge you, it is sure as heck not going to change your body, okay? So that's probably the biggest key you need to remember. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. Can't really see this. It's on the back of your sheet. So if you're putting together, say you're at home, okay, this is something you can do at home. You're putting together a little workout that you want to do. Now, if you don't have a jump rope, doesn't matter. You can do knee lifts. I mean, if you don't want to do the impact, you don't have to. I mean, you can march in place. Okay, 1 minute.
You really don't need a jump rope. I mean,
No.
as long as you just do that.
You know, and they even make, I bought one for my mom, but then I've used it, and I think it puts too much pressure on the joints because of the way it swings. If you've got a jump rope, it's swinging in. This thing, it's like a ball on the end of these little bitty ropes, and you swing it, but it's putting torque. Like, I don't know, I don't like it. Nobody's ever reported anything like that. I think they should do a study on it's gonna damage your joints. But you can just literally stand here and do this if you want to. The point is you're incorporating an upper body movement with lower body. Did y'all ever see Jane Fonda? She had people out here doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the same kind of thing. I mean, you can even do this.